This is the skeleton of a plant-eating dinosaur that roamed the warm, dry environment of North America about 150 million years ago. It was discovered in a quarry in Wyoming in the United States in 2003. Right now, it's 1/75th of its full size, which in reality is about the same as that of a rhinoceros skeleton. No one knows its sex, but the museum have given it the nickname Sophie, so we'll assume that it's a female. And they're particularly proud of her because she is the most complete Stegosaurus skeleton so far discovered. Pick it up and try to imagine what she was like in life. Look at the size of those hind legs in comparison to the front ones. The earliest dinosaurs walked only on their two hind legs. But about 200 million years ago, some herbivorous dinosaurs, such as Stegosaurus, evolved to walk on four legs. The name Stegosaurus means roof lizard. It was given it because the scientists who first studied this dinosaur believed that those vertical plates lay horizontally to form a kind of armor. Today, we know that they stood vertically and are slightly offset plate to plate, but the name Stegosaurus remains unchanged. You might think that Sophie was a mild-mannered vegetarian, but Stegosaurus was no pushover. Look at the end of that tail. To protect itself from predators such as the toothy and vicious Allosaurus, Stegosaurus had a fearsome spiked tail for swinging at attackers. Scientists once believed Stegosaurus had a brain about the size of a walnut, which gave it a reputation as being somewhat dim-witted. At one point, it was even suggested that it had a second brain at the base of its spine, though this was soon disproved. But after scanning the skull, one American expert described its brain as the size of a bent hot dog. So maybe Sophie wasn't quite as stupid as we once thought. Even though Stegosaurus has been known about since 1877, its fossilized remains are still rare, with only a handful of skeletons and a few isolated bones or plates found here and there. The discovery of this near-complete skeleton is not only a thrill for visitors to the museum, it's revolutionizing what we know about this dinosaur. Scientists right here at the Natural History Museum have painstakingly scanned all 360 bones to reassemble her digitally, and that has revealed some fascinating details about the way that her body worked. Most of the time, Sophie would have ambled around at about 1.5 kilometers an hour. But at her top speed of 6.5 kilometers an hour, those large hind legs must have made her walk in a somewhat ungainly fashion. Those plates on her back most likely served multiple functions. They were possibly some kind of display to others of her kind. They might also have helped her keep cool by dissipating heat from her body. A CT scan revealed that the plates would have been too weak to provide any meaningful protection from an attack. However, they would at least have made her look bigger. But in the event that a predator did come close, those spikes on that tail were far from passive. So if there were any predators around, I wouldn't expect them to be making an easy meal of Sophie. Over 100 years ago, Lord Walter Rothschild, an eccentric millionaire with a fascination for the natural world, received a package all the way from New Guinea. Rothschild had a 400-strong team of collectors working all over the world who regularly sent him natural curiosities of all shapes and sizes. But this particular parcel held a very special specimen indeed. Rothschild found a large butterfly and knew instantly, because of its huge size, that it was a species new to science. It was, in fact, the largest butterfly in the world, and he named it after King Edward VII's wife, Queen Alexandra's birdwing butterfly. If you pick it up and take a closer look, you'll see evidence of what we would now consider to be a quite unorthodox method of collection. The Queen Alexandra's birdwing, like all butterflies, has a long tongue called a proboscis, which she uncurls and probes into flowers to get out the nectar within. And she's quite a fussy eater, only content to feed on the flowers of 2 or 3 species of vines, which are restricted to the forest of Popondetta in Papua New Guinea. Look at those bright red hairs on her body. These butterflies lay their eggs only on the toxic Aristolochia vines. Their caterpillars feed on these unsavory leaves and retain their toxicity all the way through metamorphosis until adulthood. Perhaps these red hairs function to warn predators of their distastefulness. Look at those large holes in its wings. These wonderful butterflies live in one small area in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, where they fly high above the forest. Rothschild's collector, Albert Stewart Meek, was unable to reach high enough with a net, so he used a small specialized shotgun filled with fine shot called mustard seed to knock the butterfly out of the sky. And that's why this specimen is peppered with holes. Life has dealt this particular butterfly a bit of a bad hand, but she didn't always look so battered. At Rothschild's request in 1907, a year after Meek shot that first female out of the sky, Meek went back to search for more. To his amazement, he discovered even larger specimens of the same species of butterfly, some with a colossal wingspan of 28 centimeters. However, Meek still had no idea what the male looked like, until one day he had the bright idea of finding some caterpillars and waiting for them to metamorphose into adult butterflies. The males are about a third smaller than the female, but what they lack in size, they make up for in dazzle. Their brightly coloured patterning explains why it took Meek such a long time to identify them as the male rather than as an entirely different species. Since mass deforestation in Papua New Guinea, the Queen Alexandra has become critically endangered. So it's important the species maintain their numbers, or our grandchildren might not be able to see this spectacular butterfly flying anymore. If a male sees a female, he will hover above her, showering her with pheromones, and if she is receptive to his amorous advances, they will mate.